Big round of applause here on Chicago Bears Now. We crossed 86,000 subscribers yesterday. I greatly appreciate it. And man, it's in sights. 100,000 subscribers is in sights. I want to be there by the end of the NFL draft. I know that's lofty. That's 14,000 subs. I think it can happen, though. Spread the word. Hit the sub button if you haven't already. Be a part of history on YouTube. When you get to 100,000, that's a pretty exclusive club on this platform. So I appreciate it. Rolly appreciates it. Everybody at Chat Sports appreciates it. We appreciate all your love and support. Hit that sub button for daily content. All right, I am Harrison Graham. We're going to dive into some Bears news and rumors items here. Let's start with the juicy rumor around a familiar topic, signing Chase Young. Remember all the Chase Young trade rumors last offseason before the deadline? Well, they're back because ESPN has predicted that the Bears will sign Young in NFL free agency in March. Here's Jeremy Fowler, who wrote this up. He said, Washington traded its star defensive line bookends at the 2023 trade deadline with Sweat, then thriving as the Chicago Bears lead rusher. Of course, they got Montez Sweat. Chase Young now competing for a Super Bowl with San Francisco. Chicago, in its efforts to bolster its pass rush, evaluated both Young and Sweat. In the months leading up to the deadline, Sweat landed a 4-year, $98 million extension with the Bears, who could spend more money, in free agency to sign a pass rusher such as Young. Reunited, and it feels so good. Great that singing. Could we get these guys back together? Listen, I don't think it's the craziest idea to bring in Chase Young in free agency. And now he's had a rocky career. It's been up, it's been down. He was awesome as a rookie, was hurt most of the next 2 years. Started this year pretty good in Washington. He's been a little up and down with San Francisco. He's kind of been a rotation guy because they have more depth on that defensive line. But he's a good pass rusher. He's okay against the run, not great. There were little crumbles that kind of leaked out after the trade deadline that Washington liked Sweat a lot more than Young, which is why they took less for Young, because he kind of had a reputation for taking plays off sometimes, which obviously isn't great. But if he's like a secondary pass rusher, your number 2, number 3 guy, I don't think that's bad at all. If you're being completely honest, he's played with Montez Sweat, maybe add an interior guy in free agency. And by the way, if the contract's something like what Pro Football Focus has projected, this is what Brad Spielberger has projected for Young, 1 year, $15 million, you got over $60 million in cap space, which could be over $80 million if you cut Eddie Jackson and Cody Whitehair. You can afford that. Even if it was 1 year, 20, you could do that. Now, 15 is a lot more appealing, but I like doing a 1, 2 years at most. Maybe you draft an edge as well, and then you hand the keys to that player in 2025. But I'm very much open to this idea, especially if it's at a reasonable contract like this structure. What say you? Would you sign Chase Young to that deal? 1 year, $15 million, type S for sign, P for pass? I'm in. I think that's worth the gamble, worth the upside. At minimum, you're going to get good pass rush production with pressures, some sacks, some QB hits as well. S for sign, P for pass. Would you reunite Chase Young with Montez Sweat at that price tag? Let's get to another juicy rumor and idea that's floating out there. How about drafting Brock Bowers? So Danny Parkins is 670 the score, who's big on drafting Caleb Williams, if you listen to those guys or not. He's a Caleb Williams proponent. He has proposed the idea of basically drafting Williams and Brock Bowers. Let's listen or read what Parkins had to say on Wednesday. He said, in Seattle, they ran 13 personnel, 3 tight ends, 1 receiver, 1 running back a lot. On first down, second most in the league. What about Brock Bowers, he asks. What if the plan isn't Rome Odunze, which, by the way, I'd be thrilled with that, he says. But what if it's the crazy freak of nature tight end Brock Bowers to try to do the Mahomes Kelce with Caleb Williams and Brock Bowers? What if that's the plan? And then Shane Waldron does a lot of things that would have Cole Kmet and Bowers on the field with DJ Moore at the same time. I love Bowers, and I don't hate this idea. Listen, I think this McVay type of system, which Waldron has his own spin of, he runs some 11 personnel as well, 3 wide receiver sets, but you only have 1 legit receiver right now. Adding 2 legit ones in one offseason isn't easy. Maybe you run more 12, more 13 personnel. Bring back Mercedes Lewis as your number 3 tight end. Draft Brock Bowers and run some 12 and 13. I mean, that's a pretty appealing idea. I have more thoughts on this in just a second. But first, we have a deal of a lifetime here. DJ Moore jerseys are available. Some are on sale as well. chatsports.com/DJ. If you want to pick up a DJ Moore jersey today, make sure you go ahead and do so. Link is in the comments and description of today's video, chatsports.com/DJ. But Brock Bowers, I've loved this kid since he took the field as a freshman at Georgia. I mean, he gives you a ton of yards after the catch. He makes people miss in space, which is rare for a tight end. He kind of reminds me more of George Kittle than Travis Kelce, where he just like is freaky downfield. Travis Kelce is he's just dominant, right? Like he's super consistent as a route runner receiver, great after the catch as well. But I think Bowers gives you some blocking also. I'm bullish on this idea, man. Like you add a receiver in free agency, you pair Bowers with Kmet. That's not the worst idea. If we're being completely honest. Now, does he get to number 9? Who knows? Is Odunze more likely to be there? Maybe. I will say this. These 4 skill players stand out from the rest of the pack. There's a notable drop-off after this, in my opinion. If you can find a way to get one of these dudes, regardless of what happens at quarterback, whether you pick Caleb at 1, whether you keep Justin Fields. Obviously, if you're keeping Justin Fields, it becomes way easier to for sure get one of these guys. But there are avenues to get Caleb Williams and one of the other players. Now, you're probably not going to get Marvin Harrison in that case, but maybe Malik Neighbors slips a little bit. Maybe Rome Odunze's there at 9. Brock Bowers. Like, there are avenues. Maybe you trade up a couple spots from 9 to secure one of these players. That would be huge because then, all of a sudden, you're cooking with gas in terms of the potential of what this offense could be. So, I'm open to this idea. I like Brock Bowers a lot. I think kind of like Marvin Harrison Jr., he's a very safe pick, but with huge upside as well. He's going to be a very, very good player. Let's transition here. Let's get to the latest on the defensive coordinator search, as that thing has been a little bit slower than the OC. I know it took a little while for them to pick an OC. They interviewed 9, 10 candidates, but the defensive coordinator search is kind of just now getting going, it seems like. There were 2 requested interviews before today. Jonathan Jones reporting that the Bears requested permission to interview Bills assistant head coach and defensive line coach Eric Washington for their defensive coordinator position. He previously coached in Chicago. Buffalo's defense has produced 54 sacks this year and is consistently one of the NFL's best. Now, did a little research. He was the Bears D-line coach in 2010. He was also, I think, an assistant, like just offensive analyst in 08 and 09. So he spent 3 years in Chicago. And I think you're seeing a bit of a theme with these defensive coordinator candidates. Number one, they are specific to one position group. And number two, they tend to have kind of like the leadership traits you look for, like Terrell Williams and Eric Washington, both assistant head coaches. Chris Harris, in addition to being a corners coach, he's also a defensive pass game coordinator in Tennessee. He obviously has connections to the Bears, being a player under Lovie Smith as well. I like that quite a bit. Now, I like the idea a little more of going defensive line background because I think that's the position group that still needs the most growth. Montez Sweat made a huge difference, no doubt about it, but this secondary is loaded. Linebackers are really good, which Flus that's his expertise anyway. You've got Dave Borgonzi. I like getting someone with a defensive line background. So we'll see. And I think what all those have in common, too, is you could bring them in as DC, but Flus can still call the plays, right? So, and that's something that I've very much been in favor for. All right, before we end this segment, I did want to talk about Jim Harbaugh to Los Angeles just a little bit more. I put out a YouTube short last night and kind of did a rapid-fire reaction and thoughts. The Chargers, of course, named him their head coach on Wednesday. Look, here's my main takeaway. The Bears better be right about Matt Eberflus, and Shane Waldron better work, regardless of who the quarterback is, because not pursuing Jim Harbaugh to me is a missed opportunity. It is questionable at best. I get it. He comes with a unique personality. He may want a little bit more control than you're willing to give up. But you know what, man? The guy is a proven quarterback developer. He brings physicality. He absolutely will have trenches play good because he will invest there and coach that up. If anybody's going to fix the Chargers and chargering, it's Jim Harbaugh. And he gets Justin Herbert to start. I don't know, man. I just think the idea of pairing Harbaugh with Fields or Caleb Williams would have been very, very appealing to me. The Bears obviously have not done that. Look, I'm excited about Shane Waldron. I think it's a good hire. I still think the Bears are on the up and up, but if you could have been on the up and up and upgraded to Jim Harbaugh, not only are you thinking playoffs, you might be like a legit NFC contender in his first year. So we'll see, man. We'll see if they regret this or not. I hope they don't. That's all I'm going to say. I hope they don't, because I truly believe, based on what I was told and based on him taking an NFL job, that had the Bears fired Matt Eberflus and shown big interest in Harbaugh, I think they could have got him, or at least had a very good chance. They opted not to do that, and now we see where the chips fall. Should the Bears have fired Harbaugh? What do you think? Y for yes, N for no. I wish it would have happened, but obviously they did not do that. You know, whether it's Kevin Warren and him not getting along, Ryan Poles didn't want to go that route. They just believe in Matt Eberflus. Whatever the case it is, they didn't do it, so it is what it is. Hit that subscribe button. Again, we're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. Thanks for tuning in to these Bears, Rumors, and News show.